Hi, folks. Welcome to another 10 Talk. I'm excited today that we have Dave Knowlton from SIUE. Dave is a professor in instructional technology, and he's joining us today to talk about technology tools. But I love what he's going to talk about because he's going to talk about how it's not about the tool. It's really not about the tool. It's about what we know about instruction. So I'm excited about that. My name is Nancy Latham. I'm from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. And Dave, I totally have to admit to you, this is going to be good for me, because I'm a sucker for the latest and greatest tool. And we're surrounded right now, right?
It is so easy to become a sucker for the latest and greatest tool. And you know, Nancy, when I get calls from teachers, the first thing they tend to ask me is about the tool. They are excited because they have discovered Cahoots, or they are excited because they have discovered the Google Suite. And I even get questions like, well, what if I don't want to use Microsoft Word? Is it okay if I use Google's version of word processing? Or is it okay if I use Boom Cards? Or sometimes I get the reverse, Nancy, if someone will say with a little embarrassment, you know, Dave, I'm a bit old school and I'm still using PowerPoint and I know I shouldn't be, but... And so we have all this excitement over the tool or nervousness because they're not using the latest and greatest tool. And Nancy, I tell them, and I think it's important for viewers of these talks to get, tools do not create learning. And I want to say that again because it's so important. Tools do not create learning. Whether you bring home your milk and broccoli from the grocery store in a Ferrari or in a Pinto, and I may be dating myself by using Pinto here, right? A Hyundai, how about that? Whether you bring home your groceries in a Ferrari or a Hyundai, the nutritional value of that milk and broccoli are the same.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting, Dave, if the broccoli is spoiled, it's still spoiled in either one.
That's right. It might look better in the greatest and latest tools, but it's still spoiled. It's a great point. You know, Nancy, I love a quote. I would like to share a quote with your audience, and it goes like this. And here's what I want your audience thinking about. Who do they think said this quote? And here's the quote. Books will soon be obsolete in the schools. It is possible to teach every branch of human knowledge with modern tools of technology. Our school system will look completely different 10 years from now. And when I ask people, who do you think said that? I often get answers like Michelle Obama, Bill Gates.
That was my guess. Jobs was my guess.
Okay, Steve Jobs.
Or Jobs, yeah.
Do you know who actually said it, Nancy? Thomas Edison said it in 1913.
Wow.
And the modern technology he was talking about was film strip. And he was so enamored with the tool that he forgot about the strategy. I am going to share my screen here briefly because I want to go a little bit deeper with strategies. And so hopefully you're seeing my screen now. And what do we really mean by strategies? We mean creating interaction. And it's so important to understand, whether it's in a time of pandemic like now and you're having to teach online, or whether it's in your traditional face-to-face classroom. It's so important to understand that you've got this course or these instructional materials, and you've got to get content to the learner. And a lot of teachers think when they see this, well, that's my job, getting content to the learner. And I say to them, if that's your job, then why do we need teachers at all? We have Google, we have books, we have movies, we have journalists. The real job of teachers is not just getting the content from the instruction to the learner. It's also then providing the opportunity for that learner to articulate back to the content, to the course, to you as the teacher, as a means of starting to create interaction.
Right.
And, Nancy, regardless of whether you do this with the latest and greatest tool or with stone and slate, it's this process that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And then ensuring that once the student has performed, once the student has shared, once the student has interpreted or created, or whatever level of Bloom's taxonomy you're going for in this lesson plan, then providing the student with that feedback or remediation. And what I want your viewers to get from what we're looking at here is that it's not about the tool that is used to do this. It is about the interaction that you create. So do not think in terms of, I'm going to use Kahoots and everything will be better, or I'm going to use Captivate or a more advanced tool and everything will be better. Are your students summarizing? The tool they're using to summarize doesn't matter. Are they reacting? Are they playing games that will help them process the content? Are they engaged in discussions, role plays, problem-solving projects, labs, asking questions? We do a great job of teaching students how to answer questions. A powerful strategy is teaching them how to ask questions. So, Nancy, what I would say to your viewers, it's not about the tool, it's about the strategy. And don't get overly enamored with the latest and greatest tool. Well, what do you think, Nancy? Is this consistent with what you teach your students?
Absolutely. Because, what I'm constantly harping on in the instructional cycle with any learner is that you write a good measurable objective, using good old Bloom, whatever, you figure out the level you want to be at, but then you have got to write a performance descriptor that is age appropriate, that takes that verb to an operationalized phrase. These are some of the things or what I will actually see. This is what they will actually demonstrate knowledge of, or the skill they will show me. And if you take it all the way to that, first of all, you've got a good objective, but then you also know how to assess it. And then it doesn't matter. I'm always trying to teach my students, build your assessment, whether it's a rubric or a checklist based on that statement. And then lots of different ways they could show you. Lots of different ways, but the same, it's the same thermometer. It doesn't matter if I'm measuring hot water or coffee. I've made the thermometer because I want this measured in degrees. So therefore, but it doesn't matter the liquid. Let them show me in lots of ways. And that's what gets back to the tool then. The same goes for me as the teacher. I'm not restricted to one way of teaching and showing and giving them an experience,
Yes, and I recognize we're out of time, but what you're making me think about then is the best tool use is the reverse, not putting the tool in your hands as the teacher to deliver the content. Put the tool in the student's hands so that they can show you in a wide variety of ways how they have understood the content.
Yeah, when you think about all the tools available to us now, maybe that's where that availability is wonderful, is that I can say to, hey, student, customize this to your learning style to show me.
That's
Pick
right.
your tool, right? Thank you, Dave. This was terrific.
I'm delighted to be here, and I have to do a quick plug for my educational podcast. I hope that everybody watching this will check out www.learningvibespodcast.weebly.com. Some great content there about lifelong learning, as well as some additional things you can apply to your classroom.
And we will absolutely put that in our top 10 list. So they'll have that. So that'll be terrific. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.